You've lied to yourself your entire life. You've crafted a version of you that could be loved, accepted, tolerated, and then called it truth. But there's another version of you, the one you buried beneath politeness, beneath fear, beneath the endless noise of wanting to be seen as good. That buried self still breathes. It watches from the dark, waiting for you to finally stop pretending. You call it guilt. You call it shame. But Jung called it the denied self, the part of you that remembers everything you've tried to forget, every suppressed desire, every silenced rage, every dream you killed just to belong. You think you're in control, but it's the denied self that pulls your strings. It knows your weakness. It knows your truth. And tonight, it's done waiting. Comment this: I am not afraid of my truth. Say it again, louder. Let it echo through your chest. Because once you face the part of yourself you've denied, you become untouchable. Number 1, the mirror cracks. You stand before the mirror, and for the first time it looks back. Not with your face, not with your smile, but with something older, something aware. That reflection knows your lies. The ones you repeated so often they began to sound like truth. You've called it survival. You've called it adaptation. But Carl Jung would call it your fragmentation, the fracture between the persona and the denied self. You've become the actor in your own disguise, polishing the mask until it gleams while the real face beneath it rots in silence. Every compliment you chased was a bribe. Every apology you gave without conviction was a trade for acceptance. You've mistaken approval for peace, but peace doesn't come from pretending. It comes from bleeding the illusion dry. This is where the mirror cracks, where you see the reflection twitch, distort, and whisper, I know what you did to yourself. You can't escape this room anymore. You can't hide behind kindness or logic. The persona begins to crumble. You'll want to look away. Don't. Let it break. Let it cut. Because every shard reveals the part of you you've denied for too long. Comment this: I am ready to see what hides beneath. That's your initiation. Not into darkness, but into truth. You've been living on the surface, terrified of depth. But tonight you drown willingly. The water is cold, metallic, honest. And in its reflection, you don't see who you've become. You see what you lost becoming that person. That's the first crack, the first glimpse of what's real. You've just met yourself, and it's not beautiful. It's raw. It's trembling. It's you. Number 2, the silent war. You wake each day already at war. The battlefield isn't outside, it's beneath your ribs. 2 versions of you collide before your first breath, the one that obeys and the one that hungers, the one that smiles and the one that snarls. You call it anxiety, exhaustion, burnout, but Carl Jung called it the war between the persona and the shadow. You've been negotiating peace treaties with yourself for years, lying to one side so the other doesn't burn everything down. You silence your impulses, strangle your anger, hide your lust, your envy, your wildness, and still wonder why your chest feels heavy. It's because your soul is suffocating under diplomacy. Every fake smile is another bullet fired inward. You've turned self-control into self-imprisonment. You've mistaken numbness for strength. You fight to keep your world tidy while your mind rots in repression. The denied self watches from the smoke, patient, amused. It knows this war can't be won, only ended by surrender. Not the weak kind, the sacred kind. The moment you stop pretending neutrality and admit both sides are you, that's when the noise fades and something ancient speaks. Stop negotiating with your own nature. Comment this: my peace will not come from pretending. Let it echo through the ruins, because that's where real peace hides, beneath the rubble of everything false. The war has always been internal, and the silence you crave will only come once you stop fighting your own reflection. You are both soldier and battlefield, killer and healer. The denied self does not want to destroy you. It wants to free you. But freedom demands honesty, and honesty will cost you your mask. That's the price of ending the war. Total exposure. When you finally drop your weapons, your excuses, your personas, your fears, you'll realize the enemy was never the shadow. The enemy was your refusal to listen to it. Number 3, the forgotten child. Somewhere inside you, a small voice still whispers your name, but you've taught yourself not to listen. You buried it under rules, responsibilities, and rehearsed smiles. That voice once screamed when it was hurt, laughed when it was free, dreamed without asking permission. Then came the day you learned that truth gets punished and obedience gets praised. That's when the burial began. Carl Jung called this the birth of the shadow, the moment the authentic self fractures to survive. You were not born broken, you were trained to disown what made you real. Every time you silenced your need to cry, every time you pretended not to care, you built a coffin for that child inside your chest. And now the denied self carries its ghost. It shows up in sudden rage, in irrational fear, in your need to please the very people who taught you to hide. You call it immaturity. Jung called it the wounded archetype, the inner child demanding recognition. That child does not need saving, it needs witnessing. You have to look it in the eye and say the words no one ever said to you. I believe you. Comment this. I remember the child I buried. Feel how your hands tremble as you type it. That's memory trying to breathe again. Beneath all your intellect and composure lies a child still waiting to be heard. You think you outgrew them, but you only outgrew the permission to feel. Integration begins when you stop dismissing that voice as weakness and start honoring it as the origin of your strength. That forgotten child isn't fragile, it's pure energy, unfiltered life. When you reconnect with it, you don't regress, you resurrect. You recover the innocence that can stand inside darkness without flinching. That's the paradox Jung revealed. Healing feels like remembering what the world made you forget. And when that memory rises, it burns through denial like sunlight through fog. You'll weep maybe, but it won't be sorrow. It will be recognition. You'll finally realize the child never died. It just waited, quietly, for you. Number 4, masks and monsters. You've become an expert in performance. Every gesture rehearsed, every smile engineered for safety. You think it's personality, but it's armor. Carl Jung called it the persona, the mask you wear so the tribe doesn't turn on you. You built it early, back when approval meant survival. But here's the truth. The longer you wear a mask, the more your skin forgets its own texture. You've mistaken adaptation for identity. You post your curated honesty, you speak in filtered confessions, yet every word is designed to protect you from exposure. Beneath that performance lives something raw, something you call monstrous because it won't obey. The denied self. The one who laughs at your guilt and weeps at your discipline. You've chained it in the basement of your psyche, convinced it's evil. But monsters are rarely born. They're created when truth is denied oxygen. You can hear it now, can't you? That faint scratching under the floorboards of your calm. It's not here to destroy you. It's begging to be let out. Comment this. I am not my mask. Let those words taste like blood on your tongue, because every time you repeat them, another layer peels away. The monster you fear is the part of you still capable of feeling everything without apology. Jung wrote that the persona is a system of adaptation, but he also warned, the more identified you are with it, the farther you drift from the soul. Look around. You're surrounded by actors dying in their costumes. You can hear the applause echoing in the dark, hollow and endless. That sound is the death rattle of authenticity. When the mask slips, when the performance collapses, you'll meet the face beneath, trembling, furious, alive. Don't turn away. Don't patch the cracks. Let the mask fall and shatter. Only through that destruction can the denied self rise and speak. And it will, soon. Number 5, the denied self speaks. You hear it now, the voice you've spent your life drowning out. It doesn't shout, it murmurs, steady and ancient, vibrating through your bones like something that remembers when you were whole. This is the denied self speaking, and it doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't bargain or explain. It reveals. It tells you that every mask you wore was an apology for existing, that every sacrifice you made for acceptance was a quiet form of self-murder. It reminds you of nights when you swallowed your truth because silence felt safer than rejection. Carl Jung warned that the shadow, when ignored, becomes autonomous. It acts without you, through you, until you mistake its rebellion for chaos. But this isn't chaos, it's resurrection. The denied self doesn't hate you. It pities you for confusing obedience with virtue. It says, I never left. I watched you pretend, waiting for the day you'd finally hear me breathe. And now you do. The sound is terrifying because it's yours. Comment this: I hear my hidden voice. Let it echo until your denial trembles. This is what awakening feels like. Not light, but pressure. You feel your old narratives splintering, your tidy ego architecture collapsing under the weight of authenticity. The voice keeps speaking. I am the impulse you called sin, the courage you disguised as recklessness, the love you buried beneath logic. I am everything you abandoned to survive. You realize you can't silence it anymore. You can only listen. And listening feels like surrender. Jung wrote that integration begins the moment you accept the shadow as part of your totality. That moment is now. The denied self isn't demanding repentance, it's demanding partnership. You feel the tremor in your chest as ego and shadow finally occupy the same breath. It's not destruction, it's alignment. The boundaries blur, the air thickens, the illusion of control starts to fade. Soon you'll feel it give way completely. That's where the real transformation begins, where control collapses and the truth you buried takes the throne. Number 6, the collapse of control. You can feel it, can't you? The structure is failing. The mind that once obeyed your every command begins to tremble under the weight of its own contradictions. Control slips through your fingers like ash. For years, you built walls around chaos, convinced that sanity meant domination. But Carl Jung warned, whatever you repress will eventually rule you. And now the rebellion begins. Your thoughts no longer march in straight lines, they spiral. Your calm fractures into trembling clarity. The ego, that fragile conductor, realizes it never wrote the music, it only pretended to. You've mistaken order for mastery, discipline for peace. But the truth is, you've been terrified of yourself. The denied self has been watching from the dark, waiting for this exact moment, the collapse. Don't resist it. Control was always a mirage, a coping mechanism for fear. You believed you could edit reality by suppressing your instincts. But instincts are older than reason. They remember who you were before you built this cage of composure. Comment this: I release my need to control. Type it with shaking hands. That tremor means freedom is entering the body. This is not destruction, this is dismantling. The persona unhooks, the lies peel away, and for the first time, you breathe without pretense. The collapse feels violent because you equated stability with safety. But Jung taught that the self, the wholeness of your being, cannot emerge until the ego bows. This is that bowing. You kneel not before defeat, but before truth. You feel the weight of your own consciousness pressing inward, and it's holy. Every suppressed emotion floods through: grief, rage, desire, clarity, an ocean of what you've denied. Let it drown the control. Let it wash away your boundaries. The calm you've worshipped was stagnation. This chaos is life. You're not losing yourself. You're dissolving the version that never existed. As the old structure dies, you hear a pulse beneath the noise. It's rhythm, it's breath, it's rebirth. And in that heartbeat, the shadow smiles. It knows what comes next. Darkness that doesn't destroy but rebuilds. That's where you're headed now. Straight into the black fire where rebirth begins. Number 7, rebirth through darkness. You've fallen through the floor of your mind. The light is gone. Only breath remains. Slow, uneven, raw. This is not punishment. This is purification. Carl Jung called it the descent, the moment consciousness plunges into its own abyss to find what the surface world could never offer. You've reached the black fire, the psychological crucible where the false self burns. It hurts because you are shedding what never belonged to you. Identities dissolve here. gender, titles, morality, reputation, all stripped away until only essence remains. The denied self takes your hand in the dark. Its grip is cold but alive. It doesn't comfort. It confronts. It whispers. You cannot become whole until you learn to die consciously. You feel your body tremble. The ego screams for light, for direction, for order, but darkness offers none. And still, something ancient inside you exhales relief. Because for the first time, you're not pretending. Comment this: I am born in my own darkness. Let those words carve a doorway through fear. The blackness isn't emptiness, it's origin. It's the soil from which the authentic self grows. Every myth Jung studied spoke of this descent. Inanna, Orpheus, Christ, each one swallowed by shadow before ascending in truth. You are one of them now. You are entering the sacred underworld of your psyche. The pain that once defined you begins to shimmer, to shift. You realize suffering wasn't cruelty. It was initiation. The darkness that consumed you begins to pulse with gold veins, molten and alive. You are becoming something elemental, beyond language, beyond guilt. In this void, you don't find God. You find yourself as the God image within. This is not the end. It's the beginning disguised as oblivion. Jung wrote that one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. That's what you've done. You've made darkness conscious, and now within its vast stillness, something new stirs. Light not as illusion, but as truth. The rebirth has begun, and the child of shadow breathes again. What you lost in the fire was never yours. What remains is eternal. Number 8, the golden wound. The light that returns is not gentle. It sears, not so it can hurt you, but so it can reveal you. Every scar begins to glow. Every fracture turns to gold. This is the paradox Carl Jung spoke of, the place where suffering becomes sacred. The wound you've carried your entire life is not a flaw. It's an opening. The pain that humiliated you, the heartbreak that broke you, the silence that hollowed you. Each was a doorway disguised as punishment. You spent years trying to seal them, to forget them, to heal them into invisibility. But the truth is, they were never meant to close. They were meant to shine. You are not healed from your pain. You are healed through it. Jung called this process individuation, the integration of the wound into wholeness. You can feel it now, that golden pulse where agony once lived. It beats in rhythm with your breath. Comment this: my wounds are my light. Write it with reverence. It's not affirmation, it's alchemy. Because alchemy is not about turning lead into gold. It's about realizing the lead was gold all along. Your darkest moments were the crucible. Your tears the solvent that purified what could not be destroyed. The denied self, once exiled, now stands beside you. No longer monster, but mentor. It shows you that perfection was never the goal. Integration was. The universe does not reward purity, it rewards authenticity. You were never meant to rise untouched. You were meant to rise marked. Every scar is proof that you descended, confronted, and returned carrying fire. That is the symbol of the wounded healer. The archetype Jung said emerges when a person accepts that their suffering is the source of their wisdom. You've become that. You no longer hide your pain behind intellect or strength. You wear it openly because it's proof of your humanity. You are the paradox made flesh, broken yet complete, burned yet luminous. The wound has not destroyed you, it has anointed you. What once bled now burns gold, and from that fire, you will learn what power truly means. Number 9, becoming untouchable. You've crossed the threshold. What once burned now breathes. What once wounded now gleams. You are no longer at war with yourself. You are no longer begging the world to see you. You've seen yourself, and that's enough. This is the state Carl Jung called wholeness, the silent kingdom within, ruled not by fear, but by understanding. You've walked through shadow and flame and come back sovereign. The denied self no longer hides. It stands behind your eyes, calm and complete. You feel it, don't you? That strange stillness inside, the absence of hunger for approval. You've become immune to noise. Validation tastes hollow now. Praise no longer intoxicates you. Insult no longer wounds you. You've stepped beyond polarity, beyond good and evil, failure and victory, love and rejection. You've entered the field where everything simply is. Comment this: I am untouchable in my truth. Let it settle like a seal on your chest. This isn't arrogance, it's arrival. The fragile ego that once flinched at every judgment has dissolved into clarity. Jung believed the individuated self becomes a center of gravity, immune to external chaos. That's what you are now. Gravity. You draw meaning inward instead of chasing it outward. You no longer react, you respond. You no longer seek, you radiate. The world hasn't changed, you have. And because you have, nothing can move you without your permission. This calm is not weakness, it's discipline born from destruction. You understand now that peace isn't found in light, it's forged in the dark. You've earned this serenity by walking through every nightmare you tried to avoid. You've held your fear, your shame, your wounds, and they've bowed to you. That's power, to face what owns others and remain unbroken. This is the moment Jung described when the self becomes both observer and observed, consciousness watching itself with no disguise left. You are both. You are whole. You are untouchable. Number 10, the self-awakened. You open your eyes and for the first time you see without interpretation. No voices, no noise, just presence. The air feels ancient. The world looks exactly the same, yet everything inside you has changed. You are no longer the actor, no longer the wounded child, no longer the fractured persona pretending to be alive. You are the witness, the consciousness that watches the play unfold without needing to edit the script. This is what Carl Jung called the self, the totality of your being, light and shadow reconciled in perfect tension. You finally understand, enlightenment isn't escape, it's embodiment. It's standing in the fire and realizing you are the flame. Comment this: I have awakened to myself. Let the echo settle in the bones of your silence. You don't need forgiveness anymore. You don't need to prove goodness or earn worth. You've integrated what others reject, embraced what they fear, and emerged whole. The denied self is no longer denied. It's the heart of your awareness, the pulse behind your calm. Jung wrote that the meeting with oneself is the meeting with the divine. That's what this is. You've met God, not in the sky, but in your reflection. And now you understand why the descent was necessary. You can't awaken without dying to illusion. The shadow you once feared now guards your peace. The chaos you fled now fuels your wisdom. You are no longer chasing meaning. You are meaning, embodied and alive. The world will still test you, provoke you, misunderstand you, but it cannot move you. You've become the still point in the storm, the silence behind every scream. This is what untouchable truly means. Not coldness, but completion. You've stepped beyond opposites, beyond shame, beyond identity. You've come home to yourself, and in that return, you've discovered the oldest secret of all. You were never broken. You were only asleep. Now, you are awake, and the world will never be the same again. If this spoke to your shadow, like subscribe and turn on notifications. You're one of us now.